This is a Glass Box Media podcast.
To share this story with you guys.
Story time.
Story time. So this happened this month, like a couple of days ago. There were some people in Florida. A couple in Florida.
This tracks already. I don't know what you're going to say, but I already believe it. Thumbs.
So they planned to tie the knot at a $5.7 million estate that's on like 7 acres of land in Florida. But it was not their house.
They just, hi, we're here.
Yes. Okay. So here's what happened.
Hi.
So
we're here for the wedding.
They posed as prospective buyers to visit the home. And then they shared detailed information on their wedding website, inviting their guests to join them for a lavish ceremony at what they described as our dream home and estate. They also invited their guests to return to, quote, our home, which they dubbed the Wilson's estate. The next day for brunch around, quote, our resort-style pool.
Wow.
But the audacity. But the house was actually owned by Nathan Finkel, who's the heir to the IHOP restaurant franchise. And so, like, he's at his house, just kind of like, he's like, you know what? I think I'm going to check up on my country estate, right? So he is at his house, kicking it, when people start showing up.
No.
And he's like,
there's some poor caterer that's just like, they told me to be here.
Yeah. I don't know. What are you doing here? I don't know.
I'm here for the wedding.
Yeah.
No.
So can you imagine? So he's like, shocked. He's baffled. He calls 911. He's like, there's a lot of people in formal wear trespassing on my property.
Oh my God.
And then this couple told him that they received a message from God.
No.
That they were supposed to be wed in his house.
Shoot
he
your
was
shot.
He was like, okay, I hear you.
I did not get that memo from God.
He didn't call first, which is rude.
Yeah,
so,
I think you should.
So you're going to have to go home.
Wow.
But they almost pulled it off. If he hadn't been there.
Yeah. That's not, dude. Not a bad grift. Shoot your shot, I guess.
But here's the thing. Shoot
God
your
told
shot.
them to shoot their shot. And
yeah, they were under strict instructions. But like, also, why would you tell your family that it was your house?
Also,
that's a weird thing to do.
Like, even if homeboy wasn't home for like big estates
neighbors?
like that, the neighbors, somebody cleaning, like the pool guy, anyone,
1,000 people,
1,000 people, there is a 0% chance of you pulling something like that.
You're not getting away with it.
Your wedding.
And inviting them back the next day. The hubris. Like,
imagine.
You want to talk hubris? Did you see the one post in that group that was an invitation to somebody's wedding that was in the middle of a field? It was like
yes. Oh, girl.
Wait, what?
It was a potluck wedding.
What?
Which okay,
it's okay. You know it.
Okay.
You know.
Do you?
You?
Okay.
It's all good. No facilities. So you camp overnight
with no facilities.
No facilities.
Correct. You're going to a wedding.
You're going to a wedding.
Literally on the invitation, it said, "Nature will be your restroom." Just be aware. It was like, be aware that nature will be your restroom.
No, it will not.
At a wedding.
And somehow it's supposed to be a potluck.
You can't plug in a crock pot? How?
I'm going to make flapjacks over my fire. Like what you
We're
want.
We're going to have hot dogs.
Yep. It's going to be hot
s'mores.
dogs and beans. Canned beans.
And when you have to go,
cold cut
there's
sandwiches.
The bush.
You got a can.
From a cooler.
You got an empty can now you can use as your toilet.
Oh my gosh.
God.
I hate it.
Imagine being in like wedding attire and having to like squat.
No.
Oh
fuck you. There is no wedding attire for that. That wedding attire is jeans.
And listen, I love camping as much as the next person. I love doing things on a budget and everything, but maybe
It's your
strike
wedding.
a balance. It's a wedding.
It's your wedding.
Yeah.
Like, do what you want, but don't invite people to that. Like, you know, like
Don't tell me nature's my toilet.
No, not on the invitation. It's on
They're
the
like
invite.
they spent a lot of time throwing out ideas. They're like, how do we put this in a polite way? We need people to know that there will
shit
not
in the bushes.
No, mom, you can't say that on the invitation. What else can we say?
How can we class it up a little bit?
Yeah.
Nature is your toilet.
I like it. I like it, Antsy.
On Earth Day, ma'am.
How dare you?
Come on.
Well, I wanted to talk to you guys about something that I found last night. So we've been doing these stereo pop-ups on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Last night we had a really fun one with like an AMA. So we had lots of questions and stuff. But I also started trolling through this account called Relationship Advice.
Oh no.
On Reddit, and the questions people ask are just brilliant. So I wanted to pose one to you guys to see what you
please.
Boyfriend has sleepovers with his female best friend, and they're sharing a bed.
No,
That's not a sleepover.
What do you-
Wait.
That's not a sleepover.
Okay.
No.
I mean, I believe in platonic friendships.
Correct.
Male-female friendships. I think that those
Yeah.
exist.
Right.
Nothing wrong with a platonic male-female friendship. However, you do not sleep in the same bed with your best friend like that. Like, and no.
It feels weird.
It's not a pleasant thought.
No.
Well, why am
Like,
I not
when I think
invited to this? Like, I'd be like,
And a sleepover in general is just
it's weird.
Well,
It's
they're not
very-
living together yet, the boyfriend and girlfriend. So
it's
the
still
boyfriend
weird.
is having his best female friend over for sleepovers.
no.
And she's like, is this normal?
No,
it's not normal.
It isn't normal.
No, not normal.
No, I don't love that. He's also being very unclear about where she's sleeping. He finally admitted that they were sleeping in the bed together. At first he was saying she was sleeping on the couch.
So you're
So he's
lying.
also
Yes.
lying about it.
I think that's called it's time to break up.
I think it's called cheating.
Yeah, no,
yeah,
for
you
sure.
Gotta
No,
break
it
up.
is.
Yeah, you got to break up. I mean,
Yeah.
like that's
This is over.
why would he even want to have a girlfriend? Like, it's weird.
Yeah. Isn't the whole situation like
Yeah. I don't like
but
it.
yeah, I was like thinking about that. I was like, like, okay. I always like to try to put myself in someone's shoes.
Sure.
Let's examine it. So I'm like, okay.
Play consequences.
Yeah,
Roll
exactly.
it out.
Eric and I don't live together. And
I
like,
do the same thing. I play
Yeah.
it immediately in my head.
and then I'm like, okay. So, you know, he does have a couple of girlfriends, but most of them like live like far away, number one. Number
So yeah,
two.
if they came to town, they might spend the night at his place. But
Correct.
they're not in the same fucking bed. They ain't.
No, they'll probably stay on the couch.
No, they would stay on the couch.
Or
Right.
he would stay on the couch
Yeah.
because he's. I feel like that kind of guy who would do that.
Yeah. And I'm
Maybe.
like, I would trust that.
Yeah.
But I think the sleeping in the same bed is what
No.
gives me pause and it makes me
100%.
uncomfortable.
Well, and you would also expect full disclosure about the situation
Yeah.
beforehand. Like you would expect Eric to say, "Hey, my good friend's coming into town. She
Right.
needs somewhere to stay. I don't want her to have to get a hotel or an Airbnb. So, you know,
Okay.
she's going to stay over." He could also say,
Full
like, "Do you want to
disclosure.
come over?
Yeah,
like, and
exactly.
hang out with us? We can have dinner." Like,
Full disclosure, my best guy friend Mikey and I shared a bed once, and absolutely
Nothing
platonic
happened, sure.
on both ends. She was his girlfriend at the time. They're married now, and I was married. So,
Right.
and it was just like one of those situations where we just were in the same bed. Like it was not like, you know what I mean? Like,
Uh-huh.
you know.
Yeah.
Another time when I was traveling, I had to share a room with my coworker, and he's a guy, married. I'm married. And I was like, it is not an ideal fucking situation. However, we were traveling. My hotel room was not booked properly. So he had a room and I didn't. And there were no fucking hotel rooms because we were like,
there's a conference or something going on.
it was the golf tournament. Like,
Oh, there you
we
go.
were in like Augusta, Georgia or something. It was like
Yeah.
the big, whatever that championship golf
Masters
things
or
or
whatever.
PGA tour or
Yeah,
whatever
yeah.
that was going on. And there was not a fucking hotel within like a 30 plus mile radius. And
Right.
we were just there for one night, 2 separate beds.
Right. I mean,
It wasn't an ideal situation, but it was like, in a pinch.
I've been in a hotel room with my best guy friend before.
Yeah.
Just the two of us, like in separate beds.
Yeah.
And it was like not a big deal. It's like we were traveling. Like it wasn't a big deal at all. But like it's the sleepovers, first of all. Like it's not, because what we're talking about, we're talking about circumstances where we're like traveling or someone's coming to town,
Right.
Or something like that.
This
that
is
makes
somebody
sense.
that is in town. This is not somebody coming in from out of
There's
town.
no reason for that. Like you can have them come over. You guys can hang out. I would even be okay with that. Like you can hang out. You can have dinner. Like that's your friend. That's fine.
I have a whole other idea, you guys. Hey, your friend's coming in out of town. Can I stay at your place this weekend and my friend can have my place?
Or that.
Hey.
But you know what? Like,
not sleepovers.
Well, and the thing is, even if it wasn't like that, like if we're going with the scenario that you were saying and the friend was coming over and they were staying at Eric's place, I understand that like the person that I'm with has had a whole life before me and like maybe they've been good friends since childhood and like they want to spend time together, and I actually don't have a problem with that because you should trust your significant other. So like, I don't have a problem with that. You want to catch up. Like all of that is fine.
Correct. Because I don't want to third wheel that.
All of it needs to be on the table. Like it's the fact that he's being secretive about it and the fact that it's like you don't need to have sleepovers with somebody who lives in the same city.
No.
Yeah.
100.
No. Yeah.
Never.
Yeah.
Like I don't understand that part of it.
Yeah. Something's
I don't like it.
Something's up.
Fishy.
Yeah.
Don't like it.
We're all in agreement then.
Okay. Yeah. Hopefully she
Good to
listens to us. And strong advice.
Write her, put the timestamp for this episode.
We're like,
Ma'am,
no,
we
girl.
addressed it.
No.
We have your answer right here.
I'm sure all of
look
Reddit.
no further.
I'm sure all of Reddit had her answer too.
Oh, yeah. They were like,
Sure.
girl, he's cheating.
Yeah.
Girl,
Cheating. Get out.
bare
So-
minimum emotionally cheating, if
Of
not
course.
physically. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one thing. Like, I'm pretty flexible. I'm not a super like strict person. Like, I get the only thing that is like an absolute deal breaker for me, like I was saying on the stereo last night, is dishonesty.
Yeah. 100%.
Don't lie to me.
Yep. 100%.
Don't lie to me.
Don't you fucking lie to me.
Yeah. Otherwise, I feel like you can talk it out. There's stuff I'd be displeased about.
Sure.
Certainly.
But those aren't deal breakers.
Correct. Deal breakers.
Deal breakers.
Being lied to.
Yeah.
Misled.
I mean,
Gaslit, because that feels very gaslighty to me. To
Yes.
be like she's my friend. I don't understand.
It's just a sleepover.
Yeah,
It's no big
what's
deal.
weird about
What's
that?
weird?
Everything is weird about that, my dude. Like,
No. Well, this is My Worst Date. I'm
is.
Christina.
I'm Keegan.
I'm Cassie.
What's up?
What's up? And what else do we have going on? There's like nothing really going on in the world right now.
Listen.
I mean, there's a lot.
There is, but not
relevant to this podcast.
Yeah. Not a lot.
Well, you know
No.
what? I'm going to say it now because I'm sure the listeners are tired of me saying the same thing at the end of every episode. So I will go ahead and say now that I have started Real Housewives of New Jersey.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
It was a long road to get here, but we're here now.
I am living for that video that you sent.
Anybody who has seen Real Housewives of New Jersey will know the engaged 19 times moment. And I saw it for the first time. I took a video of it. I sent it to you guys, and I have watched it. I was like drinking wine alone in bed last night, laughing.
That's awesome.
Watching that video like over and over again because I have never seen somebody, and it was at that moment that I was like, this is for me. I have never seen somebody go from like kind of chill to flipping a table in public, just red wine everywhere, like
A
that
mess.
fast.
It's awesome.
It's
Yeah.
awesome. And also, can we please talk about how a person who's like in their early 40s could have been engaged 19 times and married and divorced twice? Like, how do you have the time? How is that even possible mathematically?
feels like hyperbole, if I'm
Feels
honest.
like a lot.
Yeah, I don't think
19 is a lot.
No, she says it.
Oh,
She says it. The first episode of
that's right. That's
of the
right.
season, she says, I was engaged 19 times before I married my first husband. And I was like, what? And then she was married
the same
twice.
Wow. I don't know.
How?
It's
I
like
don't
1
know.
year, right?
Yeah. Ugh.
I just,
don't know.
I'm like,
Feels like a lot.
impressive. It's a lot.
Feels like a lot.
As somebody who's been with someone for almost 8 years, I'm like, literally, like, how?
Yeah. It's got to be like who you're dating, because there were definitely people when I was on the apps, people that were like,
I'm ready to put this ring on it.
ready to put the ring on it, put the baby in it, like
Oh, damn.
all of it.
I think some
So-
people really like being engaged too. Like they really
Yeah.
like being proposed to. Because even Cynthia Bailey, like you didn't watch the first season she was on, but before she married Peter, her first husband in Real Housewives of Atlanta, she had been engaged like 5 times or something like that.
Yeah.
But 5 is different than
Feels-
19.
Yeah. It all feels like a lot, if I'm honest.
It's a lot.
It also feels like, again, hyperbole. It also feels like maybe it was all with the same person before she got, you know what I'm saying?
Like an Elizabeth Taylor, Richard
Like,
Burton situation.
No, like, oh, I'm with so-and-so and we broke off our engagement and then they reproposed and then we broke off our engagement and then we reproposed. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
Like,
like,
it could be that.
with Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton.
Oh,
They got married like 3
twice.
times. Yeah.
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 No, I think that these are actually like 5 different people and 19 different people.
Wow.
It's definitely like a thing. I had the I love you on like
Yeah.
after date 1, you know, with a couple different people that were just ready to go.
Also, though, I've seen this woman in action on Real Housewives of New Jersey, and I'm like, how? Because I always think like, okay, with people like this, they have to have like mad charisma. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Like, because we've told tainted love stories where I'm like, this person got married like 10 times,
Yeah.
or
Right.
whatever, and I'm
Yeah.
like, God, they have to, and you know, like Nanny Doss, I'm like, how did she keep finding husbands? Like, she's not like super hot, or
But
anything,
also
like,
the 40s.
I
True.
mean-
Fair. But so I'm like, God, there had to be something about her personality that like drew people in. But I'm watching this lady and I'm like,
I don't get it.
I'm not drawn in.
Not hitting for me.
I don't know. You're at the before the table flipping. She was saying how upset she was about rumors being spread about her in a book, and she's calling this woman out at a dinner table in front of people, and she's like, I was at home all weekend vomiting and having diarrhea because of you.
Oh my God.
Not a glimmer of shame.
No.
That you
Wow.
just said that at a table full of people.
At like a place you're eating.
Wow.
Just,
I was just shitting my pants out because of you all weekend.
no.
Oh.
She was engaged 19 times. And I know normal people who can't get a date. What?
Yeah.
What's happening?
It's
standards.
topsy-turvy world out there. But yes, standards is one thing.
Yep.
19 times is not the goal.
There's no standards there.
No.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, you're not keeping it classy.
Well, you're also saying yes to everyone. Like being
Yeah.
proposed to 19 times is different than being engaged 19 times. That means you said yes 19 times and then called it off.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a lot.
That
a
seems
lot.
like a lot of effort.
It's
Too much.
yes, it's a lot of drama is what it is. And like I'm
And that
tired.
is why.
I like to watch the drama
Yeah. No, I do too. I
from
love
over
watching
here
it.
on my couch. Like that's
I'm telling you, that's what it's all about. You live a very low drama life and then let that drama just sit on that TV and entertain you.
You know what I've wanted to check out that everybody keeps talking about that I've never seen an episode of, don't know anything about it? 90 Day Fiancé.
Same.
girl.
Haven't either.
I've heard it is a full-on mess.
I
Yeah.
heard that as well. Anthony, I've been curious and I've been tempted, but Anthony has really drawn a line in the sand with
He's like,
with
absolutely
90 Day
not.
Fiancé. He's like, you got me on
You
Real
do
Housewives.
have to compromise in relationships. I definitely understand that. I feel like that's a line that Eric would not want to cross either.
the look of disappointment on Anthony's
man.
face when he walked into the living room because he knows I finished Potomac.
Oh, no.
And the look of just defeat when
shame.
he walked in and looked at the screen and saw that I was watching New Jersey.
He's like, how many more of
He's
these are
Why,
there?
Keegan? Why?
Never ends.
No.
So who should we fuck, marry, kill this week?
I mean, we just talked about a bunch of artists. And I'm going to tell you a story for my Tainted Love that's about an artist. We could do artists.
If we know him well enough, yeah.
Yeah.
You guys go first then. I can fill in any blank.
Well, we're going to do Salvadore Dali over here. Let's just go weird out the gate.
Real weird.
Okay. Banksy.
There you go. No clue who he is.
I love a mystery man.
The word on the street is that it is the guy from Massive Attack.
Ooh, I could definitely be down for that.
That is a rumor. Allegedly. There's a lot of signs that point to the fact that he's Banksy.
Okay. Oof. Gosh, I got so many places to go. Is it Warhol? Is it going to be Pollock? Is it going to be? I mean, where are we going to go?
Oh no.
All bad. None of them good.
Bad. Yeah.
Let's see. Who am I going to choose? I'm going to go with Van Gogh.
You know what? I knew you were going to do that.
Yeah.
I knew you were going to do that.
Well, because all the other ones are real shit that I was thinking. The ones that I liked were real shit.
Who are you going with?
Van Gogh.
Oh, Van Gogh. Okay.
This is
Or Van Gogh for our British listeners.
Got it.
Or Van Gogh.
I am going to fuck Salvadore Dali.
Okay.
Seems fun.
It will be weird.
It'll be weird.
Lobster guy? Didn't
No,
he
that's
have that bet?
Oh, no,
about
you're right.
The lobster?
Didn't he also used to drive around in his car
Or
full
shark.
of baguettes?
Are you talking about the lobster phone?
Yes.
Yes, lobster phone is Dali, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm like, I know something. I know an art fact somewhere
Factoid.
in there. Let me dig deep. Yeah, he seems he's
like
fun, quirky.
He has got a lot. I remember my dad had an art book of his that he wouldn't let me look at because there was lots of naked ladies in it.
ladies. Well, I mean, we all listened to the Root of Evil podcast talking about like surrealism and how that played into
Possibly.
allegedly.
So
yeah, the thing is, I'm gonna want to do it once, and I'm not ever gonna want to do it again.
And you never tell
It's
anybody
gonna
about it.
be really, well, I will tell everybody about it.
I'll
but
bet you that mustache tickles.
I also don't want to see that mustache not waxed. You know, because it's just gonna be a limp,
curtain, mouth
kind
curtain.
of mouth curtain situation,
Yuck.
which is not my vibe. But it's gonna be like we're gonna drink absinthe first.
Oh, yeah.
and
Yeah.
then we're gonna have sex in a room that's covered in like spirals. Okay, like you know, it's gonna feel like I'm in the Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
Whilst having sex, which I don't want to do every day.
I feel like you're going to be taking acid while you do it.
See, I was going to say that, but I know me and I won't take acid. So I'll go
It'll
absent.
feel like an acid trips
regardless.
I
Right. So
think,
I don't need to make it
No.
more intense or I will go to the hospital. So I want to do it once. It's going to be an experience. It's going to be surprisingly good. That's my assessment. Is like you're going to be like, "Huh, that was actually kind of fun and pretty good." So yeah, I'm going to fuck Dali. I'm going to marry Banksy. Okay. He's a man of mystery. He's socially conscious. He's English. Things that I like.
Super rich, but not bothered by like paparazzi, like all
Absolutely.
the fun stuff about being famous without all the crappy stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah, I like it.
Exactly. So yeah, I'm gonna marry Banksy, and then I'm gonna kill Van Gogh. I just feel like that relationship is gonna be a lot. Also, you know, his track record with his exes. I don't want to get into it. I don't want to get involved. I feel like it's just a lot. It's a lot. It's going to take a lot of mental energy on my part to deal with. And I'm tired. Okay. I have my own.
You got your own shit to deal
I got
with.
my own shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. He does feel very complicated,
Very.
right? But he's also very, very expressionist. You know, like he very, I think he's very into his feelings. You know what I mean?
That might be part of the problem.
Yeah,
For me,
too much.
it's
Kinda
like
like
too
sad boy.
much. Yeah.
I was just going to say,
sign?
I'm fucking him.
I know.
I know he's got to be.
He
got
is
sad boy vibes.
Sad boy vibes. He's very I think he's very self-aware though in many ways. I mean, he's one of the people who did the most self-portraits of any artist.
He's an Aries.
Oh, that's tracks. Sorry.
That's the reason why I'm
Just
not
gonna fuck him.
marry him. So yeah, I think I'm gonna fuck him. There's something about it that seems like dark and mysterious and kind of wounded.
But he's never going to leave you alone afterwards. That's the problem. Is like he's going to be writing you. Is it? No. He's going to be writing you letters.
You know, you don't have to open them. So I'm gonna have one good night with him, and then I'm gonna go to my lovely, beautiful mansion with Banksy, and I'm gonna marry him. Yeah,
you give Vincent Van Gogh a fake name.
Yeah.
Then he can't find you later. You know? You go live with Banksy.
Keegan.
And then
You're like, how dare you?
Yeah.
Don't do it.
And then I'm gonna kill Dali. Although it seems like a good time, it's just not my vibe. You know me, like silliness and quirks like that.
What's his sign?
Oh,
that's a good question. Let's find out.
That's probably an Aries too. That would be.
Yeah, I
bet you he's an Aquarius.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, no, I'm gonna kill Dali. I feel good about that. That's what I'm doing. What about you, Cass?
I am probably gonna do the exact same thing. I'm definitely gonna marry Banksy. It feels right. I do feel like you're right. All the fame without the fame.
Yep.
Problems. I love that he he sold that piece and shred it. That was time to shred. Like, honestly, there's shit there that I was like, this is exactly right. This is exactly the kind of artist I want to be with.
Did you ever watch that documentary, Exit Through the Gift Shop?
Yes.
So good.
So good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah. I mean, his shit is political statements. It's interesting. We would definitely be doing a lot of quiet charity work together. I see.
Oh, yeah. You're donating a lot of money anonymously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm so here for that.
Me too.
Because I feel like it won't be a mansion. We're gonna live like real nice and quiet in a just a walk up. We're gonna live in a comfortable walk up loft that's just cool and filled with like really rad art books and Queens art
and
good cookware.
Yeah.
I feel like he would like make the most perfect shrimp scampi. Like he can cook.
See, I feel like he'd cook with me, but he makes a great cocktail is what.
Oh,
you know, like he makes like
one of those people
old fashioned.
He's muddling things.
The rind, he like has one of those flame thing that you lightly. So it's like, oh, this is going to be slightly smoky. And I'm like, yes.
That's definitely Banksy.
Yeah.
I'm going to kill Dali. I literally cannot. Like,
I understand. Listen, I understand.
I feel like it might be filmed somehow. I just feel like
he's going to use you in art for sure later. You're going to be like, that looks like my body without the head.
That's my vagina.
For sure.
Don't love that
idea. He's a Taurus, by the way. I love Tauruses. We get along so well.
I don't think I have any experience with the bull, so interesting.
Taurus and Pisces get along really well, typically.
Gotcha.
Aries and Taurus notoriously
butt heads.
Well,
that makes sense. Yeah, you're a ram and a bull.
Yeah, ramens and bulls.
Yeah.
I think that would be another thing. Like we probably just wouldn't jive.
Yeah,
at all.
I hear you. I
but,
mean, listen, this was a hard one.
I
really wouldn't have chosen to fuck Dali.
You just couldn't with Van Gogh, and I get it. Van Gogh's complicated. I do find that he is incredibly self-aware. He's very well written. He's right up your alley, Christina. Like for real. Like copious amounts of letters to his brother, and like just it's really he's a fascinating person. So, but one night's enough for me.
One night is plenty.
Plenty.
I didn't realize I had such strong negative feelings about
You do,
potentially
apparently.
dating Van Gogh.
You did.
I'm like,
You're
oh
like,
God,
no.
no.
You're
much
very cultured here. Well, you guys want to take 5 and come back to stories?
Yes. Great. And we're back. All right, Cass, kick us off.
So I got my story from Reddit. It's a little long, but I think it will get you properly fired up.
Oh, great.
Okay, take us on a journey.
Okay. I've only been on a blind date once. A friend of mine had a brilliant idea that I would be simply perfect for a male friend of hers. I had been single for a while, and since I was having wasn't having any luck on my own, why not get a little boost from a friend? Important part of the story. I made it clear with my friend that the guy she was setting me up with has to be fine with girls on the quote darker side of life. I've always been weird, gothy, nerdy, and while I don't exclusively date other goths, I just wanted to be polite so he wouldn't be shocked to see a girl with a septum ring and extremely pale complexion. She assured me that not only did he like goth girls, he liked Lord of the Rings and science fiction books as well. So totally into it, right?
Okay. I agree that that's something that you want to make sure that he knows before you going in, just because people are weird.
Right. I mean, you have an aesthetic. You want to be, like, hey, this is me. This is my look. I have a thing, right?
Well, and it also is like something that it sounds like she's like, I'm passionate about these things. It's not just a look. Right. There are things associated with it. And it's like, we've said it on the podcast before, just be upfront with.
And clearly that's what she's trying to do. She's like, I just want to make sure that he's cool with my vibe, right? Yeah. I was actually really excited for this date. It was agreed that we'd meet for dinner and then go to a movie, standard first date fare. We met and I thought he was cute and he seemed very nice and polite, and I mentally made a note to thank my friend for the matchmaking.
Okay.
We got appetizers and discussed boring things after the appetizers were cleared. And we were waiting for the main dish. He asked how things were going, and I said that I was having a lovely time. Then he dropped a bombshell. He said that he is very serious. He said this with a very serious expression and said that in order for me to, quote, me to be with him, some things had to change.
Okay. Nope. Bye. We're done. Immediately out.
I stupidly asked, what do you mean? Well, he was ready to tell me and had to what had to happen for me to be with him, or for, quote, be seen with him.
Honey, you are not worth it. Like, who do you think you are?
Well, here is a list. Remove all piercings. Remove my tattoos. I actually had no tattoos at the time. Stop with the, quote, goth look. Don't worry. He was going to take me shopping, and he assured me that he had excellent taste.
Bitch.
Get a tan. Grow my hair out and dye it a, quote, normal color. My hair was short and dyed black. Lose weight. I am 1.76 meters tall and weigh 60 kilograms, give or take. Americans. For Americans, I'm 5'8" and weigh 140 pounds. Okay, fuck you. Fuck you.
I'm furious.
No more video games and no more D&D, no more horror movies.
Do you know how many women there are that exist who would fit all of your requirements? Like, why would you go out with somebody and then try to turn them into what you want? There are plenty of people out there who don't like video games, who don't play D&D, who have quote unquote movies, normal hair colors. Like, it's so.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, black is not an abnormal hair color.
No.
And also, that's just such a big pet peeve of mine when I was on the apps, when people give you those like list of requirements. They're like, I'm looking for a woman who is of this height and weight and must have like blah, blah, blah.
You're
and it's
excluding so many potentially incredible people.
Yeah.
Like, why would... Okay. All right.
Okay. Yeah. After all that, then I would be ready for him to be seen with me, to, quote, accept me as his girlfriend. He didn't say this in a mocking tone. He was quite serious that he was willing to pay for me to go be wholly made over and then I'd be awesome. At this point, I probably had
just strip away all of the things that make you you, and then you'll be good for me.
Oh, God. At this point, I probably had a really stupid expression on my face. My face felt like I was on fire. I almost wanted to cry, and I kept opening my mouth to say something, but no words would come. Girl, same. So I would probably look like a baby bird with a tomato face. He was really chuffed with himself and kept telling me how I looked rubbish now, but once I got tanned and started dressing and acting like a, quote, movie. Normal girl.
This is not She's All That. This is not a 90s movie. This isn't how this works. It's not how any of this works.
Oh my God. If you start acting like a normal girl, man, would I be a knockout. The waitress came over with dinner and she gave me an odd look, probably because I looked quite insane, and to be honest, my head was still spinning. I've been picked on and bullied a lot, but this was almost worse in a way than when people used to spit on me and throw garbage. Now, this part is a little bad. In my haze of rage/hurt, I pushed my plate of paste over to him and unceremoniously dropped it in his lap. I grabbed my purse and walked out of the restaurant. Then I got frightened, thinking he might come and beat me up. So I hid for a bit and then called my friend to come pick me up. I know it's not right to dump food on people, and it's not right to waste food. It just happened. Not gonna lie, I went home and spent the evening sobbing.
Oh,
the next
honey.
day, my friend...
Not worth it. He's not worth it.
Not at all in the least. My friend who had set me up on this disaster was curious to know how it went. And I told her. She was shocked. She wasn't angry with me. She was furious with the guy. And I wasn't
shouldn't be angry with you.
Right, obviously. And I wasn't angry at her. She clearly had no idea that it would go this badly. To this day, I don't know what his deal was. Maybe he wanted a girlfriend he could build from ground up. Also, since the date, I have not changed my style or my appearance. I might not be everyone's cup of tea, but I am happy being spooky and nerdy, and I don't need to compromise my appearance to find someone to love me.
Goddamn right.
That's it.
And you're never going to be everybody's cup of tea. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're as, quote unquote, basic as what he was asking for.
Right.
It doesn't matter what you are. There's going to be somebody who wants to change something about you. So you might as well just be who you are, do what makes you happy, because at the end of the day, at least you're happy.
Right.
Yeah.
You know,
and you'll find somebody who
loves that.
That's right. Exactly. Who's all about that.
A fucking audacity, though.
I know.
To look at somebody in the face and say all that, to their fucking face. I could never. Well,
and to not feel any shame about it.
Right.
Clearly this is somebody, there's something wrong with you. If you don't see what's wrong with this.
Yeah.
Yeah. The utter lack of
Awareness.
empathy and awareness.
Yeah.
Just, ugh, gross. I hate it.
Throw it away.
Hate it. Okay. This one's a little short. I was in high school and dating a guy who was out of high school. I worked at a Dairy Queen. A girl from my school comes through the drive-thru. As I'm handing her her order, I see that the very distinct ring I gave my boyfriend is on her finger.
What?
Oh, allegedly.
Allegedly.
Also, with the DQ, all I can think about is Parker Posey.
Yes.
In Waiting for Guffman.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh my God. I fucking love a Dairy Queen too. And that is such a Midwest thing. I think there's one Dairy Queen here in LA in the mall in Burbank. And it is a Dairy Queen / Orange Julius. It's like a combo. But there are no Dairy Queens in this area. It's not a very soft servey kind of place.
Community. No.
Yeah.
There's one when we're going back home that's not that far from my parents' house. Eric is over the moon.
Peanut butter
excited.
parfait. That's
Oh,
always
yeah.
what I get. Oh, delicious.
You guys got to go to Jenny's while you're there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I have to admit, it took me a minute because I was confused about how she could have this ring. I finally snapped to and asked her, "Did Bob give you that ring?" She said yes, and how did I know? Because I gave it to him. He's my boyfriend.
Here it goes.
She immediately took it off, gave it to me, and left. A few minutes later, my boyfriend comes flying in the door and starts yelling at me for getting him in trouble.
Sir, this is a Dairy Queen. Allegedly, you need to get the fuck out.
Get the fuck out. As he continues to yell at me, I'm just staring at him with all this anger that's inside of me. A friend of his, Mike, happened to be sitting in the dining room, and Mike comes up to the counter and whispers something to Bob. They go outside. Can you come in and close the door, please? Bob comes back in and sheepishly says, "Mike said if I didn't apologize to you, he'd beat my ass."
Oh, Mike.
Oh,
Hey, Mike.
I have to admit, having Bob's friend Mike, who I barely knew, stand up for me was one of the best things that ever happened to me. And yes, Mike and I started dating.
Yes.
He was a really nice guy.
Yay. Mike.
Mike.
Go, Mike. Yes. be the change you want to see. Don't,
He's
your,
like, my
your friend
dude.
is not acting right. You got to be like,
Check
hey.
him. Check him. Speak up.
My dude,
Yeah.
come outside with me real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Can you come in?
Can I have a word?
Hey, bro. Okay. In high school, I took this girl out to dinner and a movie as a first date. It was mostly as a courtesy to a friend because this girl would always be the third wheel to their dates. We finish up the movie and I'm driving her home when she says to take a turn here and there to make it back to her house. Turns out she had decided that it would be prudent for me to meet her grandparents.
Would it?
This is fine enough with me. I have an easy time mingling with the golden oldies. However, it is about 10 minutes before her curfew when we arrive at her grandparents' house. Before we even walk in, I tell her, call your parents and let them know.
Oh, no.
She puts up a fuss and says they won't care and to not worry. Time goes by and we end up at her grandparents for an uncomfortable 30 to 45 minutes, all while I am saying that it is past her curfew and her parents don't know we are
You
there.
can't have the grandparents call or
Yeah.
something?
Yeah.
Like, what a weird situation. Like,
So weird.
okay.
We make the 15-minute drive back to her house and it is completely uncomfortable. The mother rushes her to the next room and mumbled yelling occurs. I'm sitting at a table when the father comes into the house
Bro,
and
leave.
gives me a death look and
No.
yells some more.
No.
This is just a bit much for me, but I handle it okay and go home. As soon as I walk in within my curfew, my mom starts yelling, "Where the fuck have you been?"
What?
And I'm wondering what the fuck is going on. Well, it turns out that the father drove to my house and started banging on the door, yelling at the top of his lungs
Oh, no.
that I have his daughter and he wants her back.
What?
My mom does not know who this man
Okay,
is.
Liam Neeson. All right.
Oh.
And in the panic, from beyond the locked door, hears, "Your son has got my quarter. Your son has my quarter, and I want it back." My mom freaks out, thinking there's a psycho at the door, and gets a gun and calls my uncle from across the road, who also grabs a gun
Oh, shit.
and yells
America.
across the road to leave or he's going to get shot. My mom's yelling back through the door, "If my son has your quarter, he'll give it back to you tomorrow," to try to appease him. He eventually leaves, and I finally convince my mom that the family is crazy, and we have a good laugh about it. However, this has to be the worst date ever.
Also, how do they know where you lived? You must live in a small town.
Small town.
Right.
That's some small town shit right there.
This makes me think, and it brought about a very vivid memory of the time that cops came banging on my door when we were little.
Oh,
because I
no.
guess some neighborhood kids had been fucking around in our backyard, and my mom got a BB gun that she used to fucking shoot pigeons and like waved it at the neighborhood kids. They went back and told their parents, and their parents called the
Oh,
cops,
no.
and the cops like bust in looking for the gun
I'm
that my mom
sorry.
like threatened kids with. It was a thing.
Is this or is this not Ohio?
Yes.
And
No.
are they not on your property? I thought that was how this worked.
Yep. Yep.
Oh, wow.
Oh my God.
Oh, no.
If my son has your quarter, I'm sure he'll give it back to you tomorrow. Please leave my porch.
That would be me 100%. Can't hear for shit. So
Yeah.
I'm also like, what?
Also,
a quarter?
like, you know if your parents are like that. You know,
Okay.
like, you know
Yes.
if your parents are going to, you know what kind of parents
That's
you
right.
have. Like,
That sounds like
why
somebody
would
who
she
wanted
play with
it.
fire like that?
That's testing boundaries or
100.
some kind of teenage.
You're going to test boundaries
thingy.
at grandma's house? Like, if you're
I
going to
mean,
do it, at least
and
be somewhere
Granny.
fun.
Yeah.
Call my parents. Let them know. We'll
Yeah.
be home. We're just here.
We're just here. We're
Weird.
at grandma's house.
Wow. Wow. Woo. Wee. Wow. Okay.
All right.
Okie dokie.
Are you ready for my Tainted Love story?
Yes.
Okay. This story has everything.
I like a story that has everything.
Except they don't murder each other in the end.
Oh, well, that's nice.
So this is nice.
Oh, good change of pace.
I would say there was no murder in it, but it does happen during Nazi time, so there's probably some murder.
Adjacent murder.
Yeah, definite adjacent murder. So I got most of my information from a website called The Art Story, Wikipedia, a Hornet article by Matthew Lawrence, a New York Times article by Joseph Treaster, acting out Claude Cahun, Cahun and Marcel Moore by Tirza True Latimer. Sorry if there were any mispronunciations there, but I did a lot of research.
Awesome.
Clearly, yeah.
So, to be fair, because I'm a big nerd who's going to school now, I have been taking art history classes, and it's been really exciting because my art history teacher it's modern art, and she is incredibly feminist and teaches about a lot of people who would have been othered in all of our lessons have been very peppered with people that we may never have heard of, and she really does try to focus on people who were outside of the community, but also important contributors to the community. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to tell you the story of Claude Cahun. Claude Cahun was born as Lucie Renee Mathilde Schwab in 1894 in Nantes, France.
So this is it's a female Claude?
I will get to that.
Oh.
I will explain.
Okay.
There's a lot. It's layered. It's a very layered story. So, she had a very troubled childhood. Her mother was institutionalized when she was just 4 years old. Sorry. And she was predominantly raised by her grandmother, Mathilde Cahun. Her father was from a very prominent Jewish family. And they were fairly well-to-do, not like extreme wealth or anything like that, but
upper middle class.
Upper middle class. Exactly. But around this time, we're talking like between 1894 and 1906, there was something called the Dreyfus Affair that happened in France. And it brought about a big wave of anti-Semitism within the French community and within France as a whole. So during that time, it was starting to become increasingly uncomfortable for Jewish people within France. And so she was moved to a boarding school in Surrey, England, where she'd went to Parsons Mead School until she was about 12 years old. So she spent a lot of time in boarding school growing up, kind of away from her family. And eventually she does end up back in Nantes, where she, at 15, goes to school there, comes back home, goes to school in her local community, and she meets 17-year-old Suzanne Malherbe. And they both describe their meeting as un rencontre foudroyante, which means a lightning encounter.
Oh,
So,
I like that.
I know, me too. It feels very like a lot of marbles in my mouth when I say it. However, a lightning encounter is very fancy.
It's
way.
far sexier than like love at first sight.
Yes.
Or meet cute.
Yes, their meet cute was a lightning struck, right? A lightning encounter. This is in 1909. So they meet each other, and they're smitten with each other, and
just in time for the world to go to shit.
Yeah, 15 and they're like respectively 15 and 19 years old, right? So this is 1909, right? So they are like really inseparable this whole time. And in 1917, Maurice Schwab would marry Marie Eugenie Malherbe, who subsequently would make them step siblings.
Oh.
So,
we got some clueless shit going on here.
So it's layers, right? So this couple, and they've been a couple
I feel bad
very
for
early
them.
on, right?
Complicated.
Very complicated. Now they're stepsisters. However, at the time, it actually provided a very comfortable, quote unquote, cover for their relationship.
I'm living with my sister.
No big deal.
We're having
right?
sleepovers. Just
allegedly
innocent sleepovers.
Allegedly. But they are both very interested in art, and regardless of this degree of social cover, this isn't who they are, right? So it's around 1919 that they would move to Paris, and both of them at the time decided that they no longer wanted to claim a gender. So it was very important for Claude Cahun to be like, she's just like, there is no gender for me. Like there's a quote by her that's like, the only gender that I want to be recognized that is neutered, right? Which is that no gender at all, right? So this is somebody who is at such an important part of our history that has been completely almost just washed away. Mm-hmm. So they're moving to Paris during like the time when, Dada movement is going on. They're coming in, pre-surrealist movement. So they're really coming in with some of these key figures, and she's a photographer, and she's doing all of these incredible pieces. Well, they, right?
Yeah, I was going to ask, does she go by she? Or
Well,
I
at the
think
time there was no
Right.
neutral pronouns, but
So
I think that
it'd
it is
be they.
important to probably clarify that they do not, but also Marcel does
claim
not
its
either.
gender. Okay.
And I think that neither of them claim gender, and so Suzanne starts to go by Marcel more. Both of these names being Claude is a feminine and masculine name. No, it's a gender neutral name. So is Marcel. So these are both gender neutral names that do not specifically, like, Claude was very much like, I'm not trying to dress like a man. I'm not trying to dress like a woman. I'm trying to live in the fluidity of sex, and that I don't want to claim either of these things. Very interesting art stuff has come out of this, and I some of the stuff that I thought was very interesting is that, like, they would play almost like dress up characters. They did a lot of plays. They did a lot of performance theater, things like that as well, which was also part of like the artistic expression at the time. And they would do pictures in clothing, like dressed up, and it's funny, all of them looked like caricatures. So if they were dressed feminine, it was like kind of like a feminine costume
over
right?
the top.
It was very
pouring it on
costumey.
thick.
Yeah. The makeup was like just big red rosy dots on the face kind of thing. It was very like caricature of what a woman should look like, caricature of what a man should look like. But a lot of very gender fluid pictures too, like where you're like, I can't tell if that is a man or a woman, or is that a woman with really short hair who is, so it was a really interesting concept and completely so ahead of
very progressive
for their time. Right. So,
and I guess that was the point, is that like gender is a construct, and to sit here and try and say like, is that a man or a woman?
Right.
Is, you know,
and that was really their whole point of view, was to challenge that conception, challenge the notion of what does it even mean to be a woman? What does it mean that you're a man? What does it mean? Like, what are these confinements that you're putting us in? Right. So they had strong bonds within the community. Marcel Duchamp, which is, you know, a big Dada artist, André Breton, which are, again, these are like big movers and shakers within the art world. But her art, their art was not taking off. Claude's art was not really getting noticed, wasn't getting much, you know, just wasn't getting much steam. They went to the Sorbonne. So, I mean, we're talking about well-educated in the art community. So there's no reason for their artwork to not be picked up in the Surrealist movement as important, right, at the time. And it really was part of that challenge of what Surrealists were doing at the time, which is to, you know, real internal investigation, very Freudian concepts, a lot of very mental labored concepts of who do we think we are, right? So they decided that in 1937, you know, things aren't looking great in France, right? We're talking World War II starting to ramp up. Things are getting heated. Your art's not taking off. So Claude and Marcel decide that they're going to go to Jersey Isle, which is an area in which that they'd both traveled frequently when they were children. This was like a vacation place.
So where the Jersey cows come from?
I don't know.
They do.
Yeah, Jersey Isle, maybe.
I think so.
So it's a British island,
yeah,
but it is it's actually closer to France. So it's right in that channel. The Channel Islands. So they go there as kind of, you know, we're escape, we're out of here. Again, heat of the war, whether or not they are doing it because of their art reasons or because of war reasons, it all is a lot. So basically, they're both Jewish. They're both lesbians.
Yeah, I was just going to say
a lot of things that are against them.
Paris and Berlin and like a lot of like bigger cities in the 20s were extremely liberal. I mean, you have the Lost Generation in Paris all through the 20s. It was a huge like art thing, but even as soon as like the 1929, the late 20s with the Great Depression and everything like that happening, that conservative backlash was already starting.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Evils of the city and that hatred comes in. I mean, history, time's a flat circle.
Always.
It's a flat circle.
Repeats itself.
Yep.
So yeah.
Here we are.
Yeah.
That's not at all relevant to today.
Ooh,
Anyway.
That's weird. Why'd you even bring that up? So again, 1937, they moved to the Isle of Jersey Isle, and they get this beautiful home, and they actually reclaim their original names because it is an island. They also are like trying to live amongst a small community, and they want it to be, I guess, seen as somewhat more acceptable. It's funny. I kind of watched a snippet of an online movie that kind of was some of the like community members kind of talking about them at the time, and they were like, oh yeah, my mom always just said they were a little bit weird or whatever, but nobody really.
But sometimes you just want to blend in.
Yeah.
Like, I understand that too. It's just like, it's exhausting if you're an other and you feel like you're being othered all the time, and it's like there probably is a bit of an internal struggle about like wanting to live your authentic life as your authentic self, and also just being exhausted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that there's a combination of this, right? Because there was very much, they didn't quote unquote give up dressing how they wanted. Like if Claude wanted to dress more masculine, they would. If they didn't, they didn't. They were, and the community embraced them, kind of with the understanding, with the wink and a nod of like, we understand what's going on here, but also too, we're just going to embrace you as kind of the weird kooky neighbors who walk your cat on leashes
you're
are
eccentric.
quote unquote sisters. Okay, cool.
Yeah, you're like, sounds like a Boston
Wink,
marriage
wink,
to me,
wink.
but
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah, no. And that was kind of the thing, is like everybody within the community really did kind of support them. Well, they weren't able, moving to Jersey Island did not really help them escape from the Nazis, because in 1940, the Nazis did come to Jersey Isle and occupy.
Oh, that's right.
So there was a mass exodus from the Jersey Isle, but they were like, nah, we're going to stay here.
Oh.
And because of their androgynous qualities, they would dress up as men. Young men from the military would dress military uniforms and go into military meetings and would write little tiny notes that would let them know, like the BBC News, because they weren't getting news. So the Nazis weren't getting news about the war, them losing the war. So any news that came through like BBC or anything like that, they would never hear. So they would write like little notes like, oh, they're about to be defeated and you're on the losing side, and would write these like little scripted notes, and it would just be, and they would drop them in pockets of like officers and put them in like their cigarette cases.
You're
and
like, just so you know,
just FYI. So they infiltrated basically the Nazis on the Jersey Isle, and that was part of like them being like, fuck you.
Yeah.
I can't do anything really, but here's what I'm going to do here in this small community.
Yeah.
And forever they were like questioning people. It had to be, and it's just, they're these two little sisters that live together. It's just these, whatever. And it can't be them. So forever they got away with this until 1944. They got away with this. And everybody was like, it can't be them. They're just these.
That's how you get sexism to work in your favor.
That's right.
It's like, I'm just a sweet little lady.
Right. And the community as well was like, no, can't be them. But while knowing it was them.
Yeah.
But also being like, I didn't say a thing. I don't know what you're talking about. 1944, they were arrested, and they spent a year apart, both of them in separate cells. And during that year, Claude had been dealing with some medical issues a lot of her life. She'd had some weak health most of her life. So being in prison was not a great place for her. They were liberated in 1945, and so they were released and able to go back home. But she did end up dying in 1954. So she didn't live much longer after that. In 1951, though, before her passing, Claude was given the Medal of French Gratitude, which is incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so cool to be able to be like, yeah, and that little thing that I did, just dropping notes and being like, you guys suck and you're losing.
I mean, it's a huge thing. Yeah.
Yeah,
Because,
right?
I mean, like, that would be massively scary at a time when I'm sure, like, you're getting some news about what's going on, and you as not only a Jewish person,
yes,
but also
a lesbian Jewish person,
right?
And
gender fluid kind of like other, like to put yourself in their sight when you didn't have to. Like, you could have just lived as like this little old lady,
quiet home, walk your cats on their leashes, and
makes me think of the brave girl Darnella who filmed George Floyd. Like, you
Very
didn't
scary.
have to. You could keep walking. You could,
and you know what I mean. Potential repercussions of that are deadly, potentially for you.
But doing it anyways, it's such an act of bravery to even get involved, to be a witness, to
do anything, to stand up for what's actually right. In 1972, at the age of 79, Marcel took their life. They were buried together. Neither of them ever were with anybody else. They were only with each other for their whole entire lives. And it's just the sweetest thing, from 15 years old and 17 years old. And just recently, 2018, a street in Paris was named for them both in the 6th arrondissement. So it is the Claude Cahun and Marcel Moore.
This is kind of the perfect story to tell after telling your story about the man with all of the rules.
Yeah. Here's who you have to be to date me.
Because there is a perfect person out there who will love you just the way you are.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And if they could find each other in the early 20th century.
Right.
And spend their whole lives together, clearly deeply understanding one another.
Yeah.
You can find your person too. And you don't have to settle for some asshole who's like, you have to be XYZ in order to be loved, because it's just not true.
Right.
Absolutely.
I know it's a short story, but I thought it was really interesting.
That's
love
fascinating.
that.
I'd never heard that before.
I know.
There are a lot of stories of women posing, in quotes, as men in the early 20th century. I've seen like a lot of different documentaries about that, but not a story about somebody that was very open about gender fluidity at that time. I've never heard anything like that.
Some amazing quotes by her too. There's a lot to find out. Like, this is just like a little snippet of it's just like their overview of the story. But I'm telling you, what a fascinating movie. This is like, you're talking about an Oscar winning movie right here. Somebody mentioned that in one of their stories too. I think it might've been the Hornet article that Matthew Lawrence wrote, was like, Tilda Swinton, where are you? This is an Oscar nominee. Right?
I mean, also a good reminder. It's also a great reminder that a lot of people like to say that like gender fluidity and all of these things are new concepts.
And they absolutely are not.
And they're not at all.
Not at all.
They're not at all. I've, on my other podcasts, we talk about these things all the time. We cover people and that maybe are lesser known. And like, I can think of several off the top of my head. Like, you've got like Polly Murray. You've got all of these people throughout history, at all different points in history, who had some kind of belief that their gender was fluid in some way, that it was a spectrum and they were on the spectrum somewhere. Like, people have felt this way forever.
For years.
There's tons of different things that I've seen about different tribes, indigenous peoples, or different cultures through history that have different words. It's not just male, female.
That's right.
It's like all these
multiple
different,
gender.
So it's been common knowledge, it seems like, for thousands of years, and then the puritanical,
that's right,
viewpoint that we have been in for a while now seems to have erased that wisdom,
right?
Which I'm really glad we're.
And I think that's why it was important for me to tell this story, because this is someone who had been for many years erased from history. Yeah. It wasn't until after Marcel had passed away and ended up giving over. Now, the Nazis did destroy most of their artwork, but until Marcel did pass away, she had gifted like what was left of the artwork to someone who the name escapes me right now, but they were able to like be like, whoa, no, this is really fucking important work. And I can't believe we haven't been talking about this artist who's been so influential, was part of the surrealist movement, and completely erased from it.
Yeah, it's also why it's important to further your own education. I mean, I know you're doing it in a very formal way by going to school, but outside of that, I mean, what we're taught about anything, like it's all been predetermined in a lot of ways by like what people think is important. And usually there's a worldview or a viewpoint behind what is being taught to us, you know, in schools especially.
Absolutely.
So like
conformity.
Right, because then it makes you believe like, oh, all the important people in history were white and
Male.
straight and, you know,
Yeah.
and, you know, we'll have very select people that we highlight from different groups, but we're only going to share those stories.
Right.
And that's all you get to take in. And it limits your ability to understand that all of these things have been happening forever. Like it's not new. It's nothing new. And we need to be able to move forward in a progressive way and accept and welcome that this is becoming more mainstream.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. I love it.
Yeah.
Yay. I've never heard of them. So I'm very, very happy to have learned something today.
Me too. Thank you for taking us to art history class, Cassie.
I sent her name or Claude's name to Keegan before because I was like, this would be perfect for
I know you
Yamp,
did.
but I was
You
like,
did. I was like, I know I've seen it before.
Yeah, I'm stealing it. Such a good story. And I'm like,
Yeah, it's a
just
great story.
sweet.
Yeah.
It's sweet.
Touching.
Yeah. People who changed.
Also, I'm really glad I didn't have a lightning encounter with the person that I had a crush on at 15.
Oh, truly.
God.
Truly.
Jesus Christ.
Oh,
Yeah.
God. It would have been
Oh, sweet
Ugh.
Jesus.
No, thank you.
hard.
I'd still be sleeping on a mattress on the floor. No. No, ma'am. Bad idea.
Oh, my God.
Gosh. What have you guys been watching?
Okay. So I feel like Hulu bullied me. Just bullied me
They're
into
aggressive.
watching this show. Because, you know, as you all know, I have been watching Real Housewives on Hulu. And I don't pay for Hulu on principle.
Mm-hmm.
And what they like to do is play the same ads over and over again. And I believe that it is because they are trying to mentally wear me down to pay more for Hulu. And I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to give in.
It worked.
Okay.
for us.
So what happened was they have been showing me ads nonstop, constantly for Cruel Summer.
Oh.
Nonstop.
Yeah, I've seen a lot.
And so I was like, listen, I know that this is going to be a show targeted at teenagers, but starring a teen. It's about some teen shit.
Yeah.
But I did watch it. I did watch it. I watched the first episode, and I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to keep watching it.
Yeah, you're going to watch that.
It's a little cheesy. It takes place in the 90s. It's got a very 90s aesthetic. It's a little cheesy, but it's like it's a murder mystery situation. It feels like, I think Jessica Biel's in it, executive producer.
Yeah.
And it feels very much like The Sinner made for teenagers. Like it's that like long call. You're not, you know, they're going to keep unraveling the mystery as the season goes kind of situation. And, you know what? If I could sit through 13 Reasons Why, I can sit through this. Let's go.
All right.
There you
I'm
go.
into it.
Gosh, I've been watching lots of random documentaries. I watched one on the magazine Cream, which is a Detroit rock magazine, which was really good. I also watched a documentary that Fairuza Bulk was involved in called Beyond Clueless.
Amazing.
And it's just it's over 200 teen movies from like the 90s and the 2000s to tell like the teenage story. It's like clips of it.
Why we're all fucked up.
Yes,
Basically,
pretty much.
yeah.
Pretty much. So that was pretty interesting. And then something that we're going to start watching, which I'm so excited about because season 2 is getting ready to come out. Eric's never watched Russian Doll, which I fucking loved that show when it came out. So I'm really excited to rewatch season 1 with him. So
nice.
that's what I got going on.
Nothing
new.
Yeah, I'm like, I watched another episode of Haro. I watched...
Girl, no shame in your game. I watched Cruel Summer this morning.
Oh,
because I was like, I have to have something to talk about.
I know. I did start watching Real Housewives of Salt Lake City finally. I did watch
how
episode
do you
1 of
feel?
that.
Please tell me.
It looks messy.
I didn't keep watching it. I watched like the first 2 episodes. It's too cold. Like, there's something about that show where I'm like,
and they wear like the
furs,
like skinniest, smallest heels, and like snow,
that
real
shit is
legit
hilarious.
snow. I'm like,
that shit is hilarious. They're
my
like
feet are
walking
cold.
on ice in like tall platform like heels.
Honey, your toes are out. Put them away. It's cold.
How'd you feel about Mary telling her she smelled like hospital?
Girl, wow.
She's like, you did. You smell like hospital. I was like, wow.
I mean, just tripling down on that shit. She just wasn't like, oh no, I said it. I said it.
And I meant it.
But like, get over it. Like, she just accepts like, oh, okay, but that's
she's
rude.
she's trying to make her see. She's like, not only is it rude for you to say that to somebody, I was in the hospital because my loved one was like dying,
getting 2 legs amputated.
Yeah.
So, but definitely, I could see how me smelling like hospital was the most important thing here.
And why you couldn't like visit
Just
me.
get past it.
Oh my
wow,
God.
it's
mess.
It's
mess.
And
one of them is going to jail now. There's stuff happening. Yeah. Yes. Jen Shaw, I think the one who has the tequila.
Yeah. Oh, that's Shaw is the. Yes.
We'll talk about it off mic, but yeah, there's one of them is facing charges.
Okay. I need to know everything about that.
Well, hey, if you got something that we should watch, if you have stories to tell us, short or long, if you want to just reach out and say hello, go to our one-stop shop of website. It's myworstdatepodcast.com. And we love you so much.
Cheers.
This is a Glass Box Media Podcast.